Hello friends, wonderful to have you all here. It's so nice how our community is growing. It's amazing. I'm very impressed. So March the 23rd today, 11-ish, the white spectral visit in the Mayan calendar. And yesterday was a powerful day. Actually, it was over the course of 24 hours we had enormous solar activity, and it's still going on. It's still going strong. Now probably about 30 hours into the game we had this twin X-class flare. Two sunspots went off pretty much simultaneously. It's called a sympathetic flare, not really a twin flare as it's here explained on the space weather page. Again, all the links I'm using in the description under the video, where you find also a bit more information, the little write-up usually. So always go there. It's always a complementary to the talk I am giving. Anyway, so it's a super exciting times. Naturally, as we all know, this is not a question, I guess. So everybody is aware these are extremely special times we are living in. So much is happening. Everything is so compressed, so much at once. It can be stressful indeed. So that's why it is so helpful to have that additional perspective, kind of climbing up on a pyramid onto a high mountain and seeing the whole picture. That is what astrology is allowing, is offering us. And I am naturally wanting to share what I see and give you some direct insights and interpretations. Again, this is just my 2 cents. Somebody might see something else. I'm always very happy for comments underneath in that context. If you are seeing something I do not see, or want to add something or share some of your experience in that context of what I'm saying, very welcome. Also, thank you again for all my subscribers, supporters on Patreon and whatnot. I mean, every little penny is welcome, helps me to stay on track and to really put the time in which is necessary for all that research to back up what I'm doing. So let's start with the Mayan calendar for a moment, as this is really a wonderful tool. I'm really promoting this big time, as you see, as a daily reference point of energies prevailing, of what you can expect, and also when you know what to expect, you can receive easier, because then you're not all of a sudden upset or thrown off, because you already knew this was looming, this was possible, this was the potential of the day. So today 11-ish. Ish is the shaman. Wisdom of the shaman is the full name of the jaguar is the totem. In the Mayan culture, shamans were chosen by their birthday. Naturally, someone who was born on that day or had that in his signature, in her signature, which also can be the 13-day count of Ish, which starts with that day sign, or it can be a day which is guided by Ish. There's different levels. There's a really amazing complexity. Ish is the wizard, and 11 is the spectral number of bringing in something new, adding something to the existing picture. And spectral brings in all the colors. Often it is a little bit of an adjustment to something new, and exactly we're experiencing today with integrating all this additional energy we have, which has been literally thrown at us by the sun. Here you see, this is the graph of all the spikes since March 18, actually 17. You see these are quasi X-class flares, 6.8, 7.4, and then here we had that X1.1, which was coming from 2 spots at once, very rare, and yes, it is quite remarkable. So that all happened yesterday on the pillars of light, really, and today is the integration day. And then as we move into the end of this solely lunar cycle towards new moon, will be a penumbral lunar eclipse, and that will be on this day, on the 13th day, 13 keep. That is the cosmic warrior, and the number 13 brings the additional cosmic quality into, so it's a double cosmic warrior in a way. So it's the yellow cosmic warrior, which is kind of the culmination naturally of the 13-day cycle we are in, of the cosmic seed. So there's lots of cosmic stuff going on here. Cosmic meaning bringing in that energy of the greater whole, synchronizing with that invisible frequency energy of the loving presence which is all around us, which we are really in charge of bringing down, incorporating it, and being really the limbs of the sun, of the stars, of these celestial energies, bringing them down and making them real. That's why it is so important to tune every day for 20 minutes. That's all you need to readjust your system and your thinking and feeling and your spiritual approach, everything, the whole unit to come into sync within itself. And then we are picking up the right signals, we are in tune, and we are flowing freely. There's no stress, no internal problems within our system if we do that 20 minutes in silence, and just, you can keep your eyes open or closed, doesn't matter, but just don't do anything, then just sit, and you can, whatever comes to mind or not, just be here and focus on bringing love into your body and channeling it, expanding yourself, feeling the vastness of your energy, how it can expand really to in all directions simultaneously. So it is really, we are getting into really deep waters. It's eclipse season naturally, and then the day after we are getting into the dreaming cycle. This is an incredibly powerful, this is the 13th of the 13 day cycle, starting with CABAN, navigation of the Earth, March the 26th. This will be by then, and we're getting back to that. Just wanted to say, so this is the next short while, and then the next number 1 day will be the big solar eclipse. Do I say it right? Yes, it will be 1 oak. The magnetic loyal heart, the white magnetic loyal heart, or dog, which is all about loyalty and working together, supporting each other, one another. This is really the big theme of our times, as we are literally breaking free from that dinosaur system, which is still kind of appears to be still in power, but it really is not. It's mere silhouettes. If we just do our own thing, nothing can really go wrong here anymore. These powers to be, they lost all their backing, really their system is falling apart from inside out. So this is the perfect moment to really step into our warrior power and say no. And for that we need to be in inner harmony, in an integration within ourselves. This all will come naturally to us through the dreaming of a new reality into existence, starting on the 26th, really in earnest, right after that warrior new moon in sorry, I say it wrong. Warrior full moon will be a full moon. Naturally, a lunar eclipse is a full moon. The moon in the sign Libra. We're just getting there in a minute and look at the chart. So let me say a few more things about the solar flares because they were really exceptional. So it started a few days ago when the Space Weather page had this little snippet of information on, as you actually can see here in this site which I saved. This is when that big sunspot AR 3615 turned into Earth's view. You have to think of Earth is here facing the sun head on. That's how we see it, the sun, and the sun is slowly rotating every around 26 days once around itself. So when there's sunspots, we can actually observe this motion. The sun does its rotational motion. So naturally you can't directly look at the sun. You need special glasses, eclipse glasses, or really like welder's glasses. But these days when the sunspot gets so big, we can actually see them if we have the protection. So anyway, 3615 on March 18, 19 around started turning into Earth's direction, and was already then observed as a potentially dangerous sunspot. Then a couple days later, yes, there was this special post in the Space Weather page. I shared it here in my Facebook, where you can join me if you wish to get all my updates, because I don't do that many videos, as you know. So 200,000 kilometers wide were all these cores with different magnetic charges spread out, something really huge. And then yes, on yesterday, this spot actually we're talking of went off. Actually, it was the other one here on the north hemisphere which went off just a tiny bit earlier, as you can see here in this time-lapse video. So naturally these are the X-ray spikes we are observing on Earth, which are moving at light speed. 8 minutes it takes for us to see. However, what is released very often with big solar flares is a coronal mass ejection. That means simultaneously when the sun is throwing out this powerful electromagnetic pulse of X-ray frequencies, that same moment a huge explosion is taking place, which is pushing off billions of tons of solar plasma into space, and that naturally travels much slower than the electrons, which are moving at light speed, like the electrons and the photons and the neutrinos and all these pretty much weightless particles. However, whatever has more material substance, like protons, which are hydrogen atoms, which is just one proton and the center of the atom and one electron. This is the kind of basic building block of matter. So this is what the sun consists of mostly, and that is blasted off towards Earth and takes about 18 to 36 hours, depending on the speed of that wave, which by average the sun's combustion, which goes naturally in all directions like a ball of fire, is about 300 kilometers per second. In accelerated moment when these explosions happen, it can go up to 3,000 kilometers per second, up to 10 times faster. And naturally, depending on the speed of that wave of charged solar plasma, it can take longer or less long. As I say, with usually when there's many flares, what's happening is a cannibalized CME. That means the first one pushes off, the second one is released by the second big flare, and there were so many flares all coming from this sunspot. I just want to show you here the list quickly so you really see my excitement. This is all which happened in 24 hours. There were, if you count here, 13 flares with the letter M starting, and then we have this one here, the X1.1, where 2 sunspots went off simultaneously. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see. Okay, it's almost too big. Let's see, that's better. And then since I have taken this screenshot, there have been a few new flares added. So this is all coming from this sunspot. You see all 3615. So this is really the most active region on the sun right now, and wave after wave is coming. So that is what can happen, that the later wave will catch up and eat up the first wave, and therefore kind of build up the wave. So almost a tsunami is building over time. So we will see what we get in about a day or two. That's how long it takes. So already, though, they say a geomagnetic storm is underway, so it is already, naturally we feel it immediately. I did a little announcement this morning when I saw all these flares, and went on Facebook and said, can you feel the density of the energy? I guess that's really a way to experience it. It's just more energy in general available. All these X-ray waves, naturally, this is pure energy. This charges Earth's field up quite a bit. We all are connected to that field. So everything gets amplified. So if you're in a good mood, you might get in an even better mood. If you are already struggling, you might struggle even more. So it really is amplifying on all levels, in all directions. And again, this makes so much sense with the astrology we're seeing here with this chart of the penumbral lunar eclipse when it is at its maximum. Jupiter rising. I mean, how much better can you describe it? In Taurus, Jupiter is always everything in exaggeration. So there's energy in exaggeration around us, period. That is the starting point where we are at. Now the moon will be going through Earth's not through its core shadow, only through its half shadow, and I wanted to show you this here quickly. This is how it looks. This is Earth here. This is Earth's, actually this is Earth's core shadow, that's how I should say. You have to think the sun is here in front of us, and we are looking at Earth. So the shadow, the core shadow which Earth is leaving behind, or actually, yeah, it is really so the sun is here, Earth is in between, and this is really the shadow picture which is thrown out into space. So this is the half shadow, the moon goes through the half shadow, that's why it's called the penumbral eclipse. Now, the last time we had that kind of eclipse, and when I say that kind of eclipse, it means every eclipse belongs to what's called a Saros cycle. Saros cycles are a whole series of eclipses over the time of 1300 years, which are usually, they start either at the South Pole, at the North Pole, and then over the centuries, like a spiral, the motion, every 18 years a new eclipse occurs till the shadow goes on the other end out again into space. So they're all related, and naturally the first one is always the birth of that cycle, and that one here, and I will go back to this chart too. I'm just introducing you here quickly so you get the kind of the understanding of where I'm going, what I'm telling you here. So this was the first eclipse of that series Saros series 113. That started back in the year 586. Can you believe that is 1700 or at least 1500, 1400 years since? So we are already really very close to the end of this series. These are the last few partial lunar eclipses, actually, which probably go on for another century or so, every 18 years, lunar eclipse. So we are pretty much coming to the end of this series. So this is in its maturation, bringing really the very best out, one could say, because it has gone through such an a rich life experience. Just think you were alive for 1400 years or so, and you have gathered all that wisdom through this time. Interesting that we have that new moon. I mean, naturally a partial, every eclipse is a new moon, basically a new moon in the vicinity of either the lunar north node or the lunar south node. That's why we have 2 eclipse seasons each year. The node is where the moon and the sun cross their orbits. So it makes lots of sense, so that when the moon and the sun simultaneously are close to that place where they intersect, naturally then they, from Earth's point of view, are coming potentially in front of each other. That's what eclipses are. But in other words, this base eclipse is giving the theme of this whole cycle, of these whole whatever 1400 years of eclipses in the first degree of Leo. This is super powerful place in the zodiac. This is energy at its purest, very creative and courageous, ready to open one's mouth, speak up, take the megaphone and tell the world, I have arrived. This is me and I will leave an impact. So is Mars in here, so is Ceres in here. And Ceres is one interesting asteroid, often showing up at moments when Earth rearranges itself, because this is the Earth goddess, you have to think, which is all about love, unconditional love, but like a mother's love. This doesn't mean always, oh, you're a really nice girl, whatnot. Sometimes you have to put your foot down, sometimes you have to lay down very clear boundaries, and that is what Ceres is known for too. So Ceres can be pretty harsh if necessary. Often Ceres is showing up in earthquakes and really big seismic events when Earth rearranges itself. So I'm pointing this out because this is really something which is in the cards for the next few months. We will see definitely something in that direction will go. It might be more or less extreme. I'm hoping for the downgraded version of such, thinking of Gordon Michael Scallion, which I want to do another video on all these predictions of these big events. There are 4 sources which I have been finding which really say very similar things. This will be one special edition here on the on my channel. So please subscribe to be in the loop to get the notification. So this is, I mean, this in itself is really a potent cycle. The last time we had that arrangement of eclipses of solar and lunar, and they are always kind of coming the same sequence. So the 113, that is the one we have on the 25th. The last of that family was in March 2006. Maybe you have memories of the year 2006. that might give you a little bit of a flavor of what you will be expecting this year to manifest. There's always similarities, naturally. It can go in very different directions, as all the other planets are different, but this shows where the eclipses happened, the signs in that same eclipse family, right? And then the following solar eclipse is also of the same nature then, so 139, that was the one on March 29, that is the same frequency eclipse family as the one upcoming, that total eclipse on April the 8th. This just a little bit of giving you the context. So 18 years, that is a big number in astronomy and naturally also in astrology. So let's have a bit of a closer peek at this penumbral lunar eclipse in the 6th degree of Libra it is, and the 6th degree of Libra in the Sabian symbols is self-transcend. No, sorry, that is not this one. This is, let me read the right one. I've made some different notes here. Where did I write this one down? Here it is. 6th degree of Libra. A man watches his ideals taking a concrete form before his inner vision. Beautiful. That's perfectly in tune with what I said before about the Mayan calendar, the day after leading in the 13 days of dreaming something new into existence, of really projecting and bringing in that imagination, that desire, because that's how it works. It's the future which pulls us. We have to be able to connect to our future. The future already exists, and the more we are able to open that wheel and cross time into the realm of potentialities, of possibilities. And I think back, I guess that was around in the year 2006, might even be having been that year when the movie What the Bleep Do We Know came out, and this was really a mind-expanding experience for myself and for many of my friends. I remember that. If you haven't seen that film, go try to find it. It might look old these days because we have come so far, but one of the key statements in that kind of documentary, touching on quantum physics and everything, was that there's unlimited amounts of potentialities and possibilities and of dimensions at every single moment. It really shows you that time and space really are constructs which can be imploded, and then you are in hyperspace, in the eternal present now pre-manifest state where everything emerges out of, which is always here simultaneously. So all of that is the frequency we are getting into with Uranus in the 1st house. Very beautiful here, as we just come out of that heliocentric conjunction Jupiter had with Uranus on March the 14th. Go back to that recording if you haven't heard it. Really, that was a very powerful marker in time in the pre-manifest reality of solar frequencies. And it will be on April the 21st, really a date you have to mark on your calendar as an energy peak, really like Mount Everest. This will be a huge event. It's actually, in my opinion, bringing the solar eclipse, the lunar eclipse we have just in a couple days, the solar eclipse, both are kind of building up to that 21st of April, when Jupiter and Uranus will meet as seen from Earth's perspective. So this is really a build-up and heating that whole concoction, bring it closely to get everything into its right position, right place, right frequency. That's kind of where we are working towards. Very interesting is the 16th degree of Aries and Libra, where the nodes are in, and actually the nodes are in this degree for a long time. The nodes, they move kind of like a waterfall sometimes through time, and then they come to a plateau where they stay almost at the same degree for weeks on end. That's where we are. That 16th degree is super, super powerful in both these cardinal signs. It is, I'm often referring to Rudyard. This is one of my books I'm always looking into again and learning. Potency is the word, the key word for the second part of Aries, and reconfiguration, I guess, reconstruction, that is the word for the second part of Libra. So we are having this potency and reconstruction energy at its best. Actually, it is nature's spirits which we are connecting here with in this first section of the zodiac. Let me just read you the oracle here of 16th degree of Aries, which is again an actional degree. I mean, it's all about physical interaction with reality. Nature spirits are seen at work in the light of sunset. So that's where we're going towards. That is the direction of evolution is going there. Attunement to the potency of invisible forces of nature. And we are nature, and we are really teaming up with nature in a big way. As we are its conscious expressions, its mouthpieces, its manifestors, we can have the ability with our hands and our feet and our little bit of gray masses in our brains to bring ideas to completion, to make things happen, like a good gardener, an architect, whatever. If we work with nature, we can expand on nature and improve, and yes, we will enhance, I guess is the better word than improve. I think that's the word I should use. So we are just coming out here of a really difficult few days with this Venus-Saturn conjunction. That was tough. Particularly, I mean, it's not, we're not fully done yet. We are now here coming to oppose the dark moon, and also Nessus here is here in Pisces. So this is part of that extra energy which is coming in right now, which is really pushing us to see the shadow, particularly as the moon right now, as all these flares occurred, was in the sign of Virgo, as here we are already a couple days in the future. Let's just actually jump there. Maybe one more thing I want to quickly say is it's the same signs at the major suspension points here, the horizontal and the vertical axis in this original chart, this mother chart of this eclipse family. So there is definitely a strong empowerment coming from the base of this whole cycle. with Sun and Moon in the 4th house here. This is all about bringing us back to receive from Mother Earth. The 4th house is all about that connection, the roots, our connecting with our ancestry, with history, with our lineage, with Earth in a more general way, with our whole evolutionary background. That is the 4th house. It's the cosmic memory, it's the Akashic records, you could say, the 4th house. And the eclipse, the lunar eclipse, falling into the 6th house here of this original chart, and also in the 6th house here naturally in the actual chart of March the 25th, peak eclipse. In the 6th house, yes, that's where we are focusing on healing, on bringing things back into balance. It's that Virgo energy, and interestingly enough, Virgo is at the cusp of this big house with that interception in Libra, which means things are taking a little longer. First, we are in the steam cooker here to build the pressure, to create the inner concoction before things will be able to really flower and come into connecting with the with reality in a way, because these house cusps, these are kind of the suspension points cosmic energy has with Earth. You could look at it that way. That's the house cusps, and when there is a sign without the house cusp, yes, then this energy is a little islanded, like an island within an ocean. First you have to swim a bit through the treacherous deep sea and to bring things back on land to connect with the mainland. That's kind of how I often see interceptions. They're giving us challenges. It's worth going through this pressure build up and integrate, and then once you have that inner stability and courage, then you can venture out and jump into the treacherous waters and swim across to the land where you can share your gifts. That's kind of an allegory with interceptions. Anyway, let's. I could go on for hours, as you know. I will jump to my second part here of this video, which actually links in. You see, again, I want to make the link here. We have this 27th degree of Capricorn and Cancer here in the base energy of this eclipse family, and that is the one exact same cross which naturally the 90-degree axis to that was triggered, put in power with this X 1.1 twin solar flare of earlier today or yesterday. It is now. Very interesting that this is powering up Earth in a very particular way. Solar flares, that's what they do. They send in sparks in the right moment to create an imprint, a memory, which then can be revisited. Interesting is that actually first I want to say, let's look at the solar perspective. That means the sun in the center, the heliocentric perspective, I should say. So this is Earth, and you can think of, we are looking straight at the sun, so the sun is here, and the sun is sending this big flare out at the direction of 15 degrees east. It was the exact angle, and that was dead on the direction JUNO is in. So just bear with me, I just want to show you this first. So JUNO is being charged up. That's how I see it. That's when a solar flare goes off. Naturally also Earth, because we are really close to the center line, so we get definitely also the full load, even, maybe even more of, because we are closer to the sun. Juno is quite a bit farther away, so it will take about probably up to 5 to 7 days really for the coronal mass ejection to reach Juno. Earth will receive that garb of energy pretty soon, within probably 24 hours or less, I'm hoping, and we might see really extensive auroras, extensive northern lights, southern lights, maybe even, who knows. So really pay attention. There's actually a way to get notified on the space weather page. If you like, you can sign up for that. It's a service which they offer, which allows you to get alerted when there is solar, when there is auroras. There's somewhere is a link here. Yes, you will find it here. Solar flare alerts. You see, you can get that, and also for auroras, you just have to search for the page. Anyway, this is a possibility. If you're living in a place where there is not too much clouds in the sky, then this might be a really nice thing to look forward to. So again, I could go on for a long time about this chart. I will spare you. I know some of you are astrologers who would really like to hear more of my opinions on that. I will not do that right now, as there's so many more things I want to cover, and I don't want to be 2 hours here going. I really want to show you the bigger context at this point. Maybe just a few words. Huya and Ceres. Huya is an interesting one, named after a Venezuelan rain and winter deity. Some astrologers who have done research on Huya have found it often shows up when people go through a therapy, when they come to terms with their past and reconfigure their understanding of what they had experienced. Ceres, as I said before, the earth goddess here at the rising degree in the heliocentric, close to the galactic center. Actually, Ceres will cross over the galactic center very, very soon. Let's just actually quickly look at that. I also show you here a little bit of the possibility of this very nice program I'm using, Solar Fire. So I can go to dynamic and I can animate the chart, and then I go choose here my interval. I go by dates, and then now just pay attention to Ceres. The galactic center is at 27 degrees and 10 minutes, and if we go step by step, then you see Ceres now at 25, 26, 27. So pretty dead on the eclipse day. So it I just want to give you some hints here to see things are really working on so many levels simultaneously. So naturally, a planet that is connected to the galactic center has that additional power from the greater cosmos. We are in the cosmic warrior energy, which started with that eclipse. So with the lunar eclipse, so you have to really see this is all quite an amazing maze and a web of many layers, which you have to look at as many as possible to really get the full picture. It's too often as an astrologer one only looks at the limited number of hints, and then in the end these were not really enough to cement the picture to make it really clear to see where it's going. So this pretty much is the chart then of the solar eclipse heliocentrically, but we will get to that. I just want to give you a quick preview here how it goes. So anyway, so let's go back to the geocentric chart for that big blast, that big solar flare. And we are still in these first days of the natural year, which starts with the sun's Aries ingress, and the sun is crossing over the equator from south to north, and that is the definition of the equinox. That is when the sun is perfectly centered over Earth's equator, when day and night are exactly 12 hours all over the globe from South Pole to North Pole. This is the one single moment every year, and naturally the mirror point will be the fall equinox, when again the sun apparently moves over the equator to the southern hemisphere, which is around September the 23rd. These two are the only moments when there's perfect balance on this planet in terms of light and dark. That's why these moments are so super powerful. So we're still in the very beginning of the year, so this is the first big solar flare in this natural year. 1.1, also these numbers matter a lot. They are all markers in a bigger way. Numerology plays on all levels. Okay, we were saying that here in the heliocentric picture, I made it really clear. This was the direction the solar flare erupted towards. That's where the main bulk of energy has been directed at. And how about that? That time when that flare went off, the moon had a perfect conjunction with this asteroid JUNO. So who is JUNO? What is JUNO? JUNO is the wife of Zeus. Hera is her Greek name. There's always this kind of, some names are in the Greek, some are in the Roman mythology taken from, but very interesting. I mean, if you have studied these mythologies, you know that, but for all the others, just to say, there's the same deities in the Greek mythology as is in the Roman. They just have renamed them and slightly given them different appearances, different faces. But there is this interesting polarity there of two different cultures really using the same basic inventory of deities. Anyway, JUNO is the faithful wife of Zeus, or Jupiter in the Greek, in the Roman way of naming. Zeus is Jupiter. Just that you see, this is the same. So she is all about, first of all, it's also a feminine energy, as all asteroids basically are. JUNO is known for her loyalty, support. It's all about partnership, teamwork, helping each other. It's that idea that if you want to build a big structure, you need many pillars, and each of us is a pillar in that big structure. That's the idea. So this is extremely encouraging. This shows that this is where we are going as a humanity. We're bypassing those who think they can tell us what to do, and we are doing it ourselves because we are helping each other. We're literally making them what's the word here? unneeded anymore. Superfluous, I guess that's the word I'm looking for. That's where we are going. And interesting, now I jump a little bit ahead just because this is the same degree where the moon was at when the comet was discovered, which will be showing up during the April 8th solar eclipse. We are hoping that comet is actually really a wild card, super special. I'll make a special video about that comet. This is its discovery chart, which I was able to reconstruct through all the informations I have. The moon was in that same degree. I really liked that. I mean, there's much more to this comet. The galactic center here also is up here in the center of this power line, this vertical axis. There's a Sun-Jupiter conjunction. Actually, comet 12P Pons-Brooks was first discovered naturally in 1812. That has been what's called a regular comet, one which comes back every 70 years, 71 years, somewhere in that range. And there are records which show that it has been discovered already in the 13th, 14th century in China. You can Google it and look that all up. It's really an interesting story to start with. First time it was literally I would say measured where it was in the sky, in that sense, with the astronomical tools, that longitude and latitude and the daily motion and such was calculated, was in 1812, and that allowed it to be to predict that it would come back around 1880, and for 2 years all over the globe astronomers were looking for the reappearance of this comet. And it was finally in 1883 when Richard William Brooks in the New York's upstate was able to see it from his homemade observatory. Another really beautiful story in itself. And actually, Pons and Brooks both are credited with many comet discoveries. Pons is the one which holds the record. I guess 37 comets he has discovered during his lifetime, and Brooks has discovered 27, so he's coming as number 2. So this in itself is an interesting little detail about the specialty of this comet. Some people have named it the Devil's Comet. It has irregular eruptions of gases which can make it up to 100 or more times more visible than it usually is. It's a comet full of surprises. I guess this Sun-Jupiter-Mars conjunction definitely says that it is full of life, full of energy, full of mischief even. Also an interesting resonance is the Mayan birthday for this comet, and again I will make a full video. I just really want to already tease you a little bit so you watch that full video then. The Mayan day is 1 Chikchan when it was discovered, which is the red magnetic snake. And you know we have snake energy this year particularly enlarged. It happened on so many important dates. If you go back through the former recordings, you will see it, as I've repeatedly referred to the Mayan calendar and key dates, what they are. Anyway, the Chikchan energy, the celestial snake, this is the number 1 Chikchan when this comet was discovered. Now, a week prior to comet Pons-Brooks' second discovery in 1883, Karakao went off on August the 26th in 1883. That was probably the largest seismic event in recent history. That explosion of that volcano was heard for 3,000 miles in a circumference of 3,000 miles, happened in the South Pacific, Indonesia, and it blew off a whole island. And so this was an extremely powerful eruption, and it links in with this comet. 7 days later, actually, it was rediscovered. And why I say it links in, that big volcanic explosion, the day sign in the Mayan calendar was also Chikchan. It was a 13 Chikchan day, which is the cosmic celestial snake. So there is this, I mean, the snake energy is all about instinct, primal forces. It is that root chakra where we are deeply connected with the fabric of life. Survival is a keyword of Chikchan, the celestial snake. Anyway, this energy is in this comet, and this comet has the moon here. I don't want really to put too much into this, but this is an interesting little snippet of coincidence, and the story is building. It's really getting to the point, just also showing you this x-axis 23rd degree of Sagittarius and Gemini. This will show up in a few charts. It definitely shows up here too. This is the cross, the exact cross to the horizon axis of this comet's discovery. So let's just keep rolling here to the next charts. Okay, this was then the second biggest flare. Actually, this happened a little earlier, C8:32 p.m. on the 22nd. That was, and the big X1 spike was early morning on the 23rd. So we're going back in time a little bit. Why I'm including this? It's again bringing the 28th degree Libra and Aries into focus. That is where Mercury will turn retrograde in a few days on April the 1st, another date to mark in your calendar. Just the only advice I would give in terms of Mercury retrograde is don't buy any electronics during this time. It's about 3 weeks usually, and make sure you have your computer backed up and all your electronic gadgets are in best order, and don't go into any new contract and buy things you might not really need, all of that. So it's a time to retreat mentally and to work through past issues and clear the desk from all the things which have been piling up, because Mercury is such a fast mover. That's always what happens. Some things get left behind. That is a time to catch up. So that is my perspective on Mercury retrograde. However, this will be a powerful 3-week period. Just give you a quick peek. We don't really have to go the sequence I have lined up here. This will actually be the moment when Mercury will be turning direction. And you see there is Saturn here at the base of the chart. And if we go into the heliocentric chart of that moment when Mercury turns, Mercury is dead on here in the center of midheaven. So this will be a great time for reconsidering what has happened. What is this reality all about? All of the above. Really, that head banging might get a little louder, which already has started a while ago. Yeah, why didn't I see that coming? why were they able to fool me to such an amount? And yes, lots of stress we will definitely experience in the bigger reality when more and more people are having this really deeply upsetting emotional experience. Uranus exactly at the 7th house cusp with Jupiter. Yes, it is expanding. The frequencies are getting bigger, getting louder. Also with Uranus in the 7th house, this is lots of colorful interactions on one end, but also can be a little bit too much at once, upsetting even, or at least very, very vibrant and intense, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So this is just a little preview in what's coming after April 1st, but let's just go back to where we were. This is just wanted to say this is kind of that chart, that solar flare, which definitely links up to this Mercury retrograde period. Another interesting insight here into this chart is 6 degrees and 57 minutes in Aquarius. That is where Venus and Mars had their conjunction on February the 22nd, which was a super powerful day too. We had 3 X-class flares on that day. Go back again into the archive if you want to listen to what I said there, which is definitely still very valid, because when a new cycle like this starts, like Venus and Mars, this is good for up to 2 years. Because that's how long it usually takes for the 2 planets to really come together again. So let's keep rolling. The next one I wanted to show you is this one. Why? Well, JUNO. We just spoke of JUNO. JUNO being the asteroid of partnership, of support, mutual support, and being those individuals who work with each other, help each other. The opposition to Nessus is super interesting. Now, Nessus is here, 1742 in Pisces, and that is JUNO here, and this is the heliocentric chart where planets always move forward, always direct, there's no retrogrades. That means there's a one and only contact planets have in this context, opposition. So JUNO has just been powered up now by the sun with multiple flares thrown her way. All these flares from sunspot 3615 coming here in Earth's direction, also in JUNO's direction. Yes, JUNO a little farther distant, but also receiving the X-ray pulses naturally. So JUNO is super powered up to start with and ready to face this dark insight into the world of Nessus. Nessus is all about pathology to start with. It's what we experience in the world where things are really out of balance, where people behave in extremely weird ways, actually mentally ill. What pathological really means, it's when another frequency comes in which is not from here. That's how I would say it. That's again goes back to what Oracle Girl is teaching and saying that as humans we are basically good. We are part of nature, and then comes this interdimensional energy which is really like a parasite, which gets into the cracks and niches and makes itself at home and invades and turns people, good people, into monsters at worst. So this is kind of that energy, and that opposition is really the recognition of that. That's how I would see it. It's a deep recognition of that energy of what it is, and that all we have to do is just to really be aware and neither accept nor reject. That is the wonderful, another wonderful little mantra, I would say, from Jacqueline Hobbs, Oracle Girl. Neither rejecting nor accepting, neither accepting nor rejecting. Just really stay neutral. Don't give it any energy. That is the golden path, the center line. You're not answering to what you are not in sync with, and you're just staying out of it, watching on the sideline, and it will not be able to hook into you. I guess that's what it really is. It cannot feed off you, and therefore you're starving it to annihilation. It will eventually leave, and that's exactly what we're doing collectively on this planet. We're getting to that place where we're just closing all the windows, all the nooks and cracks, and where this energy is getting into, and we are pushing it out, raising the collective frequency. And the more we do that, the more all of that is naturally happening. Very beautiful here. This is the heliocentric chart. Heliocentric always, as I see it, is the background energy where we are nourished from. It is light naturally which is nourishing us. 8 minutes it takes for the sun's light to come here. If the sun goes out, we are pretty soon under the ground, or at least no more alive, because temperatures will drop sharply within hours. This is what we are feeding on. This is the photons, electrons, which are constantly emanating from the solar energy source, and each photon is coded with that frequency the sun holds in that moment when it is emitted. So this is what we are feeding on, or you could translate it, this is spirit's signature. As also when we look at our birth chart, we can look at the heliocentric picture of our birth chart, and you will see the energy behind your physical manifestation, what is really at the source feeding you to be who you are. That is why it's such an wonderful addition, adds depth and perspective and complexity to who you are. So this is the mundane chart of that moment when Juno and Nessus oppose each other. Again, this is the beginning of pretty much a multi-year phase, as Juno takes about roughly 5 years around the sun. Nessus 122 years, so every 5-6 years there will be an opposition. Every 1.5 years or so will be one of the major angles. So in about 1.5 years we will have a waning square between the two. It just gives you the importance of this particular alignment and its validity, for how long it will kind of pave the way to go. And the Mercury Vesta here at the 4th house cusp, super beautiful. Vesta, particularly Vesta, is all about worshipping a higher force, something which is above us, something which is immaterial. You could call it existence, god, any deity, any higher force. This is the holy flame of the eternal fire. It's guarding the fire in the temple. That is where the name comes from. Mercury conjunct. This is the insight that it is all about, that that we are focusing our perception towards that higher flame of life who supports and sustains everything, that is at the source here in Cancer. Very beautiful. And then I also want to point out this axis here, 17, 18 degrees Taurus. You see, this is pretty much the same we had here when actually this is tomorrow actually. Exact, yeah, you see, just lining up charts, but you see the date, March 23rd. So this will be before we get to this moment, on the 25th, 2 days later then with the eclipse. So you see, it's the same geometry again, so that's why this chart is this alignment is super important. This is the geocentric chart for that very same moment. See, I mark it here as geocentric, so you see the difference if we go back. It's the same angles. It's just a parallel transgression from the angles of the sun down to Earth. That's how it works. It's all about this resonating in the same patterns together, kind of. I guess you get what I want to say. So interesting that here, yes, Jupiter and Uranus again, they keep showing up over and over in each chart. It is really the signature of this year, which is all about bringing that Uranian energy down to Earth and and grounding it and nourishing it, and Jupiter naturally brings lots and lots of fertilizer, so it will grow fast and furious, and naturally it can be even too much at once, which would explain how Earth will go through radical shifts, changes in its material manifest structures. Yes, Uranus really is getting into the Earth and leaving its mark, and Jupiter is the amplification of it. So let's just go to the next chart I have here. This is also one of the last ones we just had. Actually, you see, yeah, it's already Saturday in well, actually it is Saturday today. I'm really a bit lost in time and space sometimes, sorry. I'm a real stargazer, lose myself in all kinds of different frequencies, different time space coordinates. So this is the next big solar flare we had. Actually, let me just show you this here quickly. The latest graph of flares. Here it is. So that was, I guess that was this one here. That was the 5.4 flare. And you see that we have had already a couple more here. This was the X1.1 again. You see, it's really been an intense stretch. All Earth directed. So this chart I found super interesting, that the moon is perfectly conjunct Orcus here, 1456, in that moment when that flare peaked. And well, let's say a few words. Naturally, Orcus is not one everybody knows. Orcus is in this family of Plutinos, shares its orbit with Pluto, kind of at the same time around the Sun, 247 years around. So therefore also is an underworld deity. Orcus is all about alchemy and transformation. It is kind of the feminine side of the Plutonic energy. Actually, if you would see them in the orbital diagram, they're making like two butterfly wings. If the sun is here at the center, it's quite beautiful how they work together as a team. So this is a very deep transformational energy which this body brings into our reality, in opposition to Venus, which means it is another really deep purification of that emotional bond we have with each other, which is empowered here in this chart. And yes, the T-square here to Jupiter and Uranus, you probably see that here high up in the 10th house. Anyway, I guess I did my fair share here. I want to stop here. Just really wanted to give you an insight into the enormous build-up we are within and the many layers there are to this story. So stay tuned. I will do a video on the comet particularly, and I will do another video on the American chart, on the American nation. There is some quite powerful stuff going on there too. They just have what's called a progressed new moon, and that is based on the chart of July the 4th, 1776, which is really the Declaration of Independence, which was the foundation stone, the idea of where they wanted to go towards, which still is in progress to be fully manifesting itself. So this chart is super powerful, has a progressed new moon at 1926 in Pisces, and that is pretty dead on the spot where in the 1776 chart the black moon is. So this, actually it's the opposite point, it's 1928 Virgo. So anyway, this progress new moon as of pretty much now, I guess March 24th I calculated. Now this can be a few months early or late if you use different times for the foundation chart of July 4th, 1776. But in all cases, this progress new moon is very valid, opposing the natal black moon. So this in itself shows, yes, we are dead on facing the collective shadow there in this country. It will be the place where things really first are coming to a head, and where things then will ripple out, as we expected already to happen a few years back. But everything takes time, takes usually a little longer than you think. It seems this year too is the one where things will really open up in a big way. And yes, I mean, so much is happening. I leave it for now. Thank you so much for being here, joining in and listening. Hope you have fun. Share this with friends you think are able to really warm up to astrology, even if it's new for them. It's really not important if you understand all these charts or not. This is just for those who really are into it. You can go deeper. You can naturally at any time take screenshots and then look closer at the charts. That's what I would suggest. Anyway, thanks for being here and love you all. See you soon.